I can elucidate on it, but
No, we can start.
okay. Well, initially, one of the first things that, and I'm sure you would need this, you would need a quorum. One of the first discussions that I had was you guys had um, passed a resolution to pay the employees a COVID payment, a one-time COVID payment. There were city councilman that was considering increasing that amount. And so that's one of the things I guess you could discuss, but I don't know if you don't want to discuss until more city council members are online. Another thing is that I did send you an email. I sent you an email regarding that as well. And I did send you an email with the proposed salary increases. When if I send you something like that at the last minute, it's not that I'm trying to get you to make decisions that day, but I know that the budget workshops may be over a few weeks, and so I'm just getting you the information today. I meant to get it to you earlier today, but that's just something for you to consider over the next few weeks as far as uh, the pay increases, as far as the pay increases for 2021. And like I said, the other issue is that there were a couple of council members that were considering increasing the amount of the COVID payment. And if there anything else that if you guys have looked over the mayor's proposed budget, you have any questions about anything else, I'll try to answer them. But it's been my experience, I'm sure you guys as well over the last few years, for me the last 6 years, that most of the stalls and the obstacles in the budget have been concerning primarily pay. And so, rarely do we had situations about gas tanks here and um, other types of equipment there. But for the most part, anything that's prolonged the budgeting process or the approval of the budget has usually had something to do with pay increases. And so the thing that I'll get you this information early. Um, we've already proposed a 3% COLA increase, and we are mandated to do the minimum wage increase. And so the information that I sent you a few minutes ago shows the minimum wage increase, the COLA increase, and also there were a few, I guess, merit pay increases that were proposed by some city officials and some department heads for a couple of different employees. And like I said, those items are just for you to review. And if you have any questions during the meeting, feel free to ask, or if you think of something else um, during the week, even over the weekend, just give me a call, send me a text message, send me an email, or whatever. But like I said, the salaries are the things that usually hold us up. And so what I'm trying to, I guess, if we can get that knocked out, I don't think we have any problem with anything else. The other expenses are just primarily for fuel and utilities, office supplies. There's one item in there for the Sky Cops. You guys have already approved that, so I included that in the budget. You've approved the Sky Cops and the body cameras. Um, you've already approved those items. You've approved the purchase of them, but we haven't done it so far, and so I've included that in the 2020 budget as well. I'm trying to think of, there are some items that have always come up in the audits, like some of the grant revenue. We have some money still left from the Walton Foundation for the police training. I think there's about $30,000 left in the account for that. So I've included that in the budget as well. All of that is for training. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Any other, and the sky coppers in there. So any of those type of funds or grant funds or special projects that you guys usually need to appropriate, but that you've already approved that we haven't actually purchased, I've also included those in this 2021 proposed budget. And so I don't know if there's anything in particular that you guys wanted in there. One thing of note that comes to mind now is we had $50,000 in the budget all of 2020 for demolition expenses, but the sanitation department pretty much, we did it, the city did it. So the city didn't incur any expenditures from demolition. So I took it out of the budget just in case you guys wanted to do anything else with it, but I didn't use it for anything else. So the funds are still available, but they're just not on that line item. So if you guys want to reinsert that $50,000 in demolition, it's no problem. But if you wanted to use it for something else, I've taken it out of the line item budget, but those funds are still available. I didn't use them for anything else. And so does anybody have any questions or anything that they can think of?
Well, I don't know if this even has anything. I'm trying to see. I know we voted to buy, I think, 3 trucks for
Yeah.
Department. Yeah, and 1 truck for coal.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I didn't think we were supposed to be buying a new truck for coal.
Did you guys, I don't know, you may have to ask Sandy, but did you guys approve the purchase of the truck for coal?
Yes.
But you said it wasn't supposed to be new?
No.
Okay. You approved a truck, but not a new truck.
Right.
Okay. And so what question did you?
Because from what I'm understanding, they're trying to buy a new 2021 Ford for coal, and I just don't see where they need it.
Okay. Did y'all do any specific dollar amount?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not sure about
Okay.
that. Sandy, do you remember?
Mr. Turner, we did, I think we did about 24.5 or 25.5, whatever the state contract was for the 3 water trucks. And we did not set an amount for the code truck as it was going to be pre-owned.
Okay. So Wanda, you're right.
So have they purchased any of these trucks yet?
No, ma'am.
I had a discussion with Benzine. He asked me about it, so I don't know. He asked me about it yesterday. The water department director asked me about it. General manager asked me yesterday. I didn't know what the holdup was. I vaguely recall something had happened, but I just don't remember exactly what it was. And the cold truck as well. So I don't know in particular what's the holdup on either one of those purchases.
I'm the holdup on the new water trucks. I'm trying to get information from both banks to see which one will handle the financing for us. And if it's not feasible to keep the money at home, we will go through government capital. But I should have an answer for you next week.
What about the cold truck?
We don't have to finance it. I'm sure it depends on what we get one for. If you got one for like $5,000, $6,000, or $7,000, a pre-owned vehicle, you could probably pay cash for it. If you went any higher than that, you would probably want to include it in the financing package that I'm working on for the water department, even though we, the city, would make that monthly note.
Have they given you any estimates for, I mean, have they been actively purchasing, looking for a truck for code enforcement that you know of?
Mr. Gant would prefer to have just a car. He
Okay,
doesn't feel like he needs a truck as he doesn't haul anything. And
okay,
he has found several pre-owned vehicles locally that would fit his needs, a small vehicle. He just needs something to go from property to property.
okay,
And he said that it might be 8,000, something like that. Not anything very expensive at all.
okay.
Well, is it any way you can get him to get like the estimates to that?
Oh, yes,
Uh,
ma'am. I'll have him get us maybe 2 or 3 that he's interested in. I'll have him get that tomorrow.
okay. So and I wasn't in the last meeting, but my question is about this pandemic pay.
Yes, ma'am.
Who determined how much they were gonna pay?
The mayor just made some suggestions and I passed them on to you.
You ain't passed it to me because I
I
wasn't here.
mean, to the council. Yeah, those were his recommendations.
I'm talking about, do you know why he came up with that figure?
No,
Do you
not,
know how much the grant, is it a grant or should I say a grant or
it's, they reimburse us for certain payroll expenditures. And so, you know, it's based on per capita. And so every city is gonna be different, but the total, the maximum amount that we could get was $486,000. I sent that, well, you didn't get the email, but I sent it in an email earlier. Let me look at it. But it's like 486 something.
okay, the way that it's set up now with the pay that they're gonna give the first responders and then the other cities, how do you know what that total is?
Well, right, for what you guys had already passed,
Hmm.
let me look it up. I sent them, let me see. I'm sorry that it's not right in front of me. I think what I estimated was like 80. Let me be sure. And like I said, this won't be exactly. I think I tried to do an estimate. I think it was like $80,000.
So do we have to pay like the lot and all of that on that money?
No, we only pay Social Security and Medicare.
Okay.
So we make sure we pay that. So we will pay FICA.
Mr. Turner, it was 83,312.
Okay, yeah. And so that's
Okay.
what, yeah, that's what you guys that's what you passed. Well, that's what the council passed last week. That was $550. Well, it was $750 for first responders and $550 for everyone else. And a council person was contemplating increasing the amount for everybody and wanted to have a discussion about it. And so I sent some more figures for different varying amounts for you guys to look over, just to give you a general idea of how much it'll cost.
Without the electeds, it's going to be 77,392, and with the electeds, 83,312.
And that's on the what? How much money? How much was that?
The 550 and the 750.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So are we looking at this for discussion or whatever tonight? Because I just got mine. So I really hadn't had a chance to look at it. So is that, are we proposing to take some action on it tonight?
Yeah, well, what I'm saying, I wasn't in the last meeting, and I was just wondering how did they come up with the amounts when we could be reimbursed, or we can, if that much is available, why are we not? Because it can't be used for anything else, can it?
It can be used for, related things like that. It can be used like Chris asked about uniforms. It can be used for air packs for the fire department. It can be used for body cams for the police department. So it doesn't have to go strictly to salaries or anything like that.
You know, I had a question last week, and I was there was feedback was something about using terminology or whatever titles, or because what first responders, then you have essential workers. And I was wondering why the sanitation did not get $750, because our trash did not was picked up each time. We didn't miss a time during COVID. And those are some essential workers, and they were out there during the height of it.
The resolution said first responders. So sanitation workers aren't first responders, and that's.
I understand, and I did specify by saying essential workers, but wasn't some of that money also determined based on the services that they were providing during the pandemic?
The mayor decided what I don't know. You have to ask the mayor that. But to my understanding, he just wanted to give all the employees a certain amount, and he wanted to give first responders something different. He didn't say anything about essential, frontline, or make any other distinctions. But I mean, that's up to you guys to. If you want to pay everybody, I mean, the council can pay everybody the same amount. They can pay everybody one amount and pay first responders something else. They can pay. But my understanding is of what you call essential. Now, I don't know those guidelines, what differentiates essential workers from other workers.
First responders.
Yeah, I know what makes the difference between other workers and first responders. But the category of essential workers, I don't know what those guidelines are.
Okay. Don?
Yeah.
I mean, there are workers that
Yeah.
are that maintain essential services.
Because I was thinking the same thing about the water department, because I don't know, but I'm Don. I guess my question to you: what's the difference I know first responders are the fire and the police. What is considered essential?
I mean, my assumption is that it would be defined in the act.
Is it not defined, Sandy?
In the resolution, you did know. Andre may know.
And he's not on.
Oh.
I guess to avoid any distinction in it, you can just pay. I would just pay everybody the same thing. If you know that the fire department and the police department are first responders, but you feel that the sanitation workers are on that level, on par with that only leaves on a handful of other employees in the water department. So it doesn't leave but a handful of other employees that you may or may not consider non-essential.
Okay, what I'm saying is, I'm not suggesting. My thing is, if there's almost $500,000 available,
Yes.
what I'm trying to figure out, where did we get these numbers? Because
his numbers, I don't know how he came up with the 750 and the 550. I guess it just sounded reasonable, but I don't know.
Does that sound reasonable to anybody else?
No, it didn't sound reasonable to me. And I'm sorry about that. I was doing something, but it didn't sound reasonable to me when he mentioned it. But he was saying that's and I didn't, he always said I'm arguing with him, so I didn't want to say much about it. But I feel like this is, and I get them folks more than that. If they making $500,000 available to us, they can read the numbers, and I apologize, I hadn't checked my email, but they did what I asked them to do, and I see, if you give at least 1,000 to them and $850 to everybody else, or not, or just make the fire department, police department $150 different. That we appreciate it, but you don't want to just give people just a little something when you got this money. And then when I was talking about uniforms, I mentioned the uniforms. Can we, with this money, could we buy uniforms for the police and fire department, not the sanitation? transportation department, but new uniforms because due to the COVID, they've been out. You know, the fire department may need some new fire gear, and the police department needs some new gear. Those were my concerns, but that's just me.
Yeah. So like I was saying, it can be used for other things other than pay. And like I said, there are other things that other departments need. I spoke with the fire chief today. They need air packs. They want to put air packs on the new fire truck that they got, the ladder truck. And so like you said, the police chief was asking about body cameras. He has a grant, but I think there's some match money that goes along with the body cameras. And so things like that. And so I guess it just depends on how much money you want to spend on the one-time payment, and how much you want to leave for other items.
Don, Everjane, what are y'all thoughts? Because I was thinking more like maybe essential work, first responders, like raise everybody up $200 or something. Because this is, I know they're gonna be well. I would pray that they be thankful for anything they get, but if the money is there, why not? Because why not give it to them? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people done had a lot of hard times. Even those that still had jobs are having hard times because they might have a job, but somebody in their house might have lost a job.
I agree, Ms. Crockett.
When I was
And
looking up there, go ahead.
But no, go ahead, Everjane.
No, I was just saying I was looking up information, whatever, about sanitation workers during COVID and stuff like that. And in my little brief research or whatever, they play a very vital role in making our city continue. But like I said, I know I didn't miss a garbage pickup, and people would have been hollering if they had. And those people are out there messing with all that refuse and waste and stuff. So yeah, I think I agree. I think they should be increased $200.
So I think, and one of the other council member that prompted me to send to send you the updated information, that was their initial request was $750, which would be the $200 additional dollars, $750 across the board. And then my discussion with him was that what about the first responders, if any? And
I'm still thinking even on the first responders, the $200 where it was $750, make it $950, where it was $550, make it $750.
Okay.
Now that's just my suggestion. I can't do this by myself. And I see, Don, you ain't answering my question.
Well, it's because I don't approach money that way. As y'all, sometimes, rib me about. The question is not what's available. The question is what's needed.
Yeah.
And if it can be used for a variety of things, I don't think you can give an honest answer for any employee or yourself without knowing what the needs are and assessing how much you need outside of, because the straight pandemic pay is what you want to do. That's what you want to do, but what do you need to do? And how you're addressing those needs. And if you can use it for needs, then how many of your needs do you want to use out of this money? Because if it doesn't come out of this money, it'll come. If it's a need, a necessity, it's going to come from somewhere at some point. It's either coming from this or it's coming from general fund. So how many needs do you want to take care of? And so if you don't really determine what the needs are before you start making assessments, then I don't think you're giving yourself an honest answer.
And Mr. Ethel, may I add, I concur with you, and that was the point I was trying to make. It's difficult to try to figure out exactly how much you want to leave on the table for other items. But like I said, we have a pretty good idea what we need for the air packs and the body cameras. Those things have already been budgeted for in the 2021 budget. The air packs for the fire department, the body cameras for the police department. I think as far as the body cameras were concerned, I think a portion of that was for a grant, and so I think the most concern with the body cameras would be with the now with the fire department. They had a difference. It may make a difference between getting refurbished air packs versus getting brand new air packs. Uh, I don't right off the top of my head. I don't know how much the difference would be, but that money has already been budgeted for 2021. Uh, and so, but I agree with you. You know, you just have to make this determination how much money you want to give the employees incentive. I mean, well, not the pandemic pay, one-time pandemic pay, but also have to consider how much money you want to leave for other items. So I totally agree with you.
Okay, then
Yeah, I mean,
I have another question. My next question
Yes, ma'am.
is, so this can only be a one-time pay. It couldn't be like, just say if we did this and did all of the other stuff, we couldn't come back and possibly give another one-time pay.
Well, right now, as far as we know, this is all we got coming. So as far as I know right now, as of this very moment, that's it.
Okay.
If whatever is left, you guys, the city council, can if you want to make a tally out of what is coming out of those specific funds, say this is what I want to spend on this and how much is left. You guys can spend it. It's up to you guys to appropriate the funds and determine the best way to spend it. You're responsible for the management of the city's finances, so it's up to you guys to determine what is the best use for those funds. But like I said, if anything's left, if you want to come back, if something's left after the items the thing about it is anybody who wants to spend those funds would have to come to you to appropriate the money. And so I can do a running total and let you guys know, okay, now you spent this much on pandemic pay. You spent this much on match money for the body cams. You spent this much on air packs. This is how much you have left. How much more do you want to give them? Or do you want to use it for something else? So that's it wouldn't be difficult to keep up with how much running total of how much we've spent and how much is left over. And I think it was the mayor's intention on talking to some of the department heads to figure out what they needed. But like I said, I've talked to in the budget process, I must have pretty much a good equipment list, except for sanitation, street and sanitation. Mr. Jones is getting me a list, but those items that we were planning on trying to do a refund, a bond refund. And so the cost of those items would be, something that could easily wipe those funds out. So the items that he wants, I don't think we would particularly try to pay for those with the COVID funds. But most of those items have been budgeted for 2021. And it wouldn't be a problem to have a running total of what we spent and what we have left. And you guys can determine when someone needs something. I guess even during the budget process, if you want to speak with the department head and ask them, hey, is there anything else that you think you may need that we can spend, that we can pay for out of these funds?
Andre, is that the way you see it?
Yes, Ms. Turner and I met today about this, and I see it the same way after he briefed me on it today. But I see it, yes, ma'am. That's how I see it. The short answer to your question.
Okay. was just wondering because I was just, I didn't, like I said, I missed the last meeting because I was ill. But I was trying to figure out how they determine how much and who would get what.
Yeah, I think it was determined in the prior meeting
I'm sorry.
with the mayor and the city clerk and city treasurer had previously met, and those were the numbers that they brought, excuse me, in the resolution. Well, actually, the mayor brought that in the resolution after consulting with the city treasurer and the city clerk, is my understanding. Is how we got to those numbers. I was asked a question regarding elected officials and this as well. In my opinion, is that if the elected officials were to give themselves something, it wouldn't be under the pandemic relief. It would have to be in the forms of either salary or one-time pay incentive. Of course, all of that would be salary anyhow. The legal issue with it being from the pandemic is that elected officials wasn't displaced or any of the other requirements under the pandemic. And so if you were to do it, the cleanest, easiest way to do it, just say it is what it is. I mean, you're going to give, if you did it, you do bonuses for elected officials, and you do separate and apart from the pandemic relief for, well, not bonus, one-time pay incentive, separate and apart from the pandemic funds. I wouldn't advise you to pay it from the pandemic funds for those of you who have inquired privately about that. And you can remain silent if you don't have anything to say on that. But the issue is, you have the authority if you wanted to raise your salaries or do whatever relating to your salaries. You have the authority to do that. You have authority to do a one-time pay incentive, which of course is tantamount to raise your salary, because once you do it, it's your salary unless you waive those portions. So that would be something inherently within the council's authority. Mr. Turner talked to me about that today, and he advised me also that the county had already did it. The county inclusive of everyone, if I believe. Is that correct, Mr. Turner?
You say what now? Yeah, the county's already made their payment.
Right, the one-time pay incentive, they did, and they included everyone, right? But when I say everyone, I mean they also did whatever for the elected officials. But for it to be clean, and because the funds will be audited by the state and by the federal government, and the pandemic funds, if the elected officials are seeking to somehow compensate elected officials, I think that the money is in the treasury, according to Mr. Turner, and that you all could do it separate and apart, a separate motion. It wouldn't take being a part of this resolution.
And in addition to what Mr. Valley said, I did include the amounts for the various payments for the elected officials as well. So those amounts are included in the information that I sent earlier this evening.
What's the pleasure of the council?
What was your question, Mr. Val?
I said, what's the pleasure of the council? You all are discussing the issue relating to pandemic relief and et cetera. What are your thoughts going forward? What is your pleasure? We need some direction for next week's meeting.
What do you mean for next week meeting?
We have a council meeting.
You have a council meeting on the 15th.
Didn't you say that these meetings are official meetings, and if they wanted to decide something
Oh yeah, they could amend the agenda. My thing is, I've always advised mayors and city councils, there is no such thing as a workshop. Technically, every meeting is a meeting. You could meet. There's history on that. West on the city council had a budget workshop in the midst of it. They amended the agenda and voted on issues. I don't advise people to do that, but it's nothing illegal about that. The city council, the then mayor and the city council objected and called Mr. League, and they said, well, it's a meeting. As long as you notified the press and all of y'all are there, you can duck whatever business you want to. Part of the reason as city attorney, when we did rules for city councils in the past, I said that I don't like the part about amending the agenda is that when you have a meeting, you can amend the agenda at any point. And people should be on notice that that's what you're doing. But the Helena-West on the policy is that city council can amend the agenda and do whatever they so choose. And y'all have that long precedent going back to Mayor Willis. And so meetings are meetings are meetings are meetings. There's no such thing as a technical budget workshop. It's a meeting. And that's why you ask all us to be here, because it's a meeting.
Okay, Mr. Etherly, you was about to say something. What were you about to say?
At this point, I have no idea. I think it was in response to Mr. Valley's question as to what are the wishes. I would say for me, I can't in good faith say let's and let's be clear, because we've already taken one action. If we're going to do something else, I would need to have more information. Because here's what's going to happen, and maybe I'm going far beyond your question. Here's what's going to happen. No matter what we do, we could give no more money, or we could give every dime of the money we have to employees as a pandemic relief pay. And the day after, the departments are going to say, and we need this, this, and this. And so I say on the front end, determine what those requested needs are going to be that can come out of pandemic relief money, and then make your decision after that. You may still decide to, hey, we don't care about this stuff, we'll do it some other way. I at least want to know what they are.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. You answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah, and then Ms. Clark, I think the main thing was that you guys, like Don said, you passed a resolution last week. And it was someone just wanted to reconsider and pay more. You guys have considered it, and if it's your consensus that, and I think generally the consensus is generally that you think the employees deserve more, but as Mr. Etherly stated, there's some questions that remain. It's like, I don't want to spend something and then all of a sudden, I can see it happen. You all of a sudden, some's going to come up and some's going to pop up where you say, hey, we could have used that money to pay for this, or you could have used that money to pay for that. But I think that's inevitable. No?
Okay. Am I right? It can only be used for like equipment, uniforms. This money can't be used for demolition, overtime pay, what else am I trying to say? Demolition, like fixing streets. This money can't be used for that, can it? Andre?
Ms. Crockett, I don't think so, but I would double check on that. I don't have an answer for you on that question tonight, but I'll double check on that for you and let you know this week.
I think that's a significant question, Ms. Crockett, and I think to the extent that nobody can actually tell or define what purposes this money can be used for, I think it's worthy of this determining what can it be used for, what can we use it for. But I'll say this: I learned many moons ago to stay out of these conversations about people's pay. So I'm gonna, and on that note, I'm gonna shut up.
Okay, well, can we get that information and and the information about if I'm not saying to hold up the resolution that they passed on last week. I'm just saying, can we get all the details of how, what can I get? I don't, because I don't know if anybody else have, but the details of how and what this money can be spent on.
Yeah, I mean, me, Don, Andre, yeah, I don't think we have a problem getting the information for you.
That's correct, Ms. Crockett.
My understanding is that the mayor, he's not on the call, but my understanding was that he called because the money was being funneled through the municipal league. The municipal league was the agency that was funneling the money to the different municipalities throughout the state. So he called them and asked them, could he use it for this purpose? To my knowledge, I don't know if he asked about any other purpose. So as far as I know, they told him that it could be used for this purpose. Other purposes, I'm not sure about.
Okay, that's all that I have.
I know we passed this resolution at the last meeting, but I guess I would like to stay. I would like to see everybody get $750 if that was possible.
I guess Andre can let you know. I think all you guys have, someone has to make a motion, the rigmarole.
Would y'all like me to be Joe St. Columbia?
Yes.
This is Joe St. Columbia. I make a motion, we adjourn. Do I have a second until we meet again next Tuesday?
Hey, can we, I just had a question. Until can we meet sometime this week? Toward the end of the week, like Thursday, when we get the answers to the questions that we're looking for, with what this money can be spent on and everything. Can we meet Thursday to try to see what can the money be used for?
Chris, I mean, like I said, I can. Oh, you said meeting. Okay, I'm getting okay. I'm sorry, you're asking something different. Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can be in a meeting.
Yeah, I don't
I
have a
mean,
problem meeting Thursday.
I
see,
can.
that would give us some answer to our questions about, if we want, because me for one, I asked Derek to see can we give the employees some more money, but I understand Mr. Anthony's concerns. While we let's see what can we do with the money. If we can do more things with the money, I'm fine with the 750. But if it's limited, let's do what it takes to help the employees. I mean, uniforms, sky cams, or whatever we can do with it. But let's get the answer to the question. So Ms. Crocker was saying about another incentive, another one-time pandemic pay. But if we have the answer to all the questions, we can go ahead and.
I have a question, Mr. Turner. You still there?
Sure.
I just got a call from John Lucas and Mr. League, and I was just talking to him. That's why I got off the call for a minute. This is the Pandemic Relief Fund through the Department of Financial Administration, right?
As far as I know, through the municipal league, if it came through somewhere else,
Yeah.
whoever touched it before that. Now, Miss Helen can
have we
answer
received
that
the money?
probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wants to know, did we do the this is the one where we're doing it for money we actually spent before?
Yes.
Okay. Because what he wanted me to advise the council was simply this. When we did the application, the audit, so that you all have a clear understanding, the audit is not for how you spend the money now. The audit is to make sure that you actually had these expenditures before, because this is actually a reimbursement grant, not a grant going forward. And so you already have the money for money that you actually spent. And so to the extent that the city will be audited, what John Wilkerson says, it will be only be audited for how did you come to these funds? These funds are, he said that his legal interpretation, these funds are general funds.
So they can be spent any way council desires, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Don, I'm thinking that. Oh, I'm sorry.
What he said, what he just told me, because I called him earlier today, and he just called me back. He said the funds are general funds, but they are. When we did the resolution, what we're doing is saying we spent X amount of money in these departments, and most of them, what they advise to do is just take police and show it in the resolution that you spend it on the police department. And this is a reimbursement grant, not a grant going forward. It's for money that you actually have spent, and they're reimbursing the city for what you have spent.
Okay. I understand that.
I was gonna add that I believe. Now I wasn't sure. I would like for you guys. I know you're gonna double check, but I kind of had the belief that the money it was reimbursed, because I think that's indicated that in the email that I sent to the council members, that it was reimbursed for payroll expenditures. And so I think I had the impression that you could use for anything you wanted to, because they're general funds, you had already spent it. But I didn't actually speak to anyone at the municipal league, so I didn't want to go out on the league and say that, but those were my thoughts.
So
Right,
the departments submitted information saying that they worked all this time overtime, or they had these expenses during the pandemic. That's what they're being reimbursed for. Is that correct?
Ms. Haber can answer this. She did most of the form, but my understanding is that they would reimburse us for police salaries.
Yes, but
Because
what Mr. Wilkerson said is this. He said that they advise almost every city submitted for police salary reimbursement for their salaries, because that's the primary thing that most people do. And that's what they advise all the cities. But the police salaries have to be legitimate, that you applied for, that you actually spent this money. And the audit is going to make sure that you actually spent the money, because this is simply a reimbursement for the pandemic relief for extra expenditures you had within your police department. is how they are framing it, because they want to say, make it simple, make it from your police department. And so when we did the application, once you receive the money, at this point, it's general funds to be determined by the city how to spend it.
So that means we basically have said that we spent $400,000 in police salary during the pandemic, and we've now been reimbursed for that, and we can distribute. It can be redistributed from general funds in any manner for which the council desires it to be redistributed, because they are now general funds.
Right,
And
I'm going to email him, ask him to put that in writing to me tomorrow for y'all meeting next week before you get to try to hashing up money and all that kind of stuff this evening. But generally, that's his answer, and but I want to get that in writing from him. But that's you're correct, myself.
okay, so I agree with
Sir?
your going. I agree with the thought on getting the email, get it in writing, and then after that, take action one way or another.
Yes. But the purpose, the state and federal audit are going to be to make sure that the city actually spent this money, incurred these expenditures, because this is a reimbursement grant, they're not looking at what you spend it for going forward, because what you're saying is, this was my money, I spent it, and you're reimbursing me for it. And so the part you spend after you get it, that's no big of a deal. The question is, the integrity that they're looking for is just whether you actually incurred the expenditure. Are y'all there?
I'm still here. And I understand what you're saying. So I guess I'm like Mr. Etherly. So we need to get a clarification of, because if it's general funds, it can be used for more than just salaries. Because it's like, I borrowed $20 from you, I paid you back, but you used it for what you wanted to after I paid you back, right?
Yes, because what they're saying is, what they're saying is, these expenditures that you use it for police department, but you're not restricting and using for just the police department. When it comes back to you, we're reimbursing you for all these expenses for police department. Is what his opinion was. That was John Wilkerson, but I'll email him to make sure we get that in writing. While you all are digesting that, I think you all need to take that up on the 15th. But while you all are digesting that, one of the things that we still have not discussed in detail, one of the things that you've asked Mr. Turner and I to do a base pay and etc. And there were several things that still need to be brought to attention to base pay. I spoke to half of you. I didn't speak to all of you. I apologize to the three of you I did not speak to. I did not speak to Ms. Crockett, Mr. St. Columbia, and Mr. Franklin. But the other three I did call when I had the time. I'm shifting gear for just a minute to the landfill. After last week's city council meeting, I was very concerned about the landfill. So I called Philip Fields. I did talk to the mayor. I did talk to city treasurer. I did talk to the city clerk. And Mr. Fields, my issue that I was concerned about is how often is he there, because legally somebody has to be there to operate the landfill. So that was the genesis of our conversation. Because Mr. Bobby Jones, he has a Class 1C license, but he can't be there and run two other departments. So during our conversation, Mr. Fields told me that he didn't take to speak to the mayor didn't speak to him, and both of them took separate actions to try to preserve the integrity of the landfill. The mayor, what he did was he went through and made sure that Mr. Jones had his license. But the engineer, what he did was, we have Scarlett at the landfill, and according to our license, Scarlett has a provisional Class C license, has to test for a full Class C license, and she is on all the documents that keeps our landfill running, and she's the person that's there every day. And so while Mr. Jones has to license our landfill is actually operating according to the state and according to the engineer through Scarlett's license. And so that's where we are as it relates to the licenses of the landfill. Scarlett had to sit for the final Class C test, but she has the provisional license according to Regulation 27.601 through 606. But she has the necessary license to keep the landfill open. And so that's where you are. I want to bring that to you all's attention as for the budgeting process and et cetera, because of the action that we took, that you all took as a body relating to the pay increase for Mr. Jones, and Mr. Fields said he had talked to Scarlett at some point, and she was wanting to test for the license, but the information that she was getting, of course, she didn't get it direct from City Council because she didn't come to the City Council, was she wasn't going to get any kind of raise or anything for having a license. So when Mr. Gaston left, it was the immediate need in Mr. Fields' eyes to get her the provisional license, which she has, and she had other license.
Who is Mr. Deaton?
Who is Mr. Who?
Who is Mr. Deaton? Roy Deaton. Who is that?
Roy Deaton works at the landfill, is my understanding, but Scarlett is the person that runs the scales in the office down there.
Okay, so Mr. Deaton, okay, he has a level C, right?
Not that I'm aware of. When I talked to this man, Philip Fields said the person that has it is Scarlett.
Okay, I'm looking at a license that has Mr. Deaton's name on there, and it says solid waste master level C.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have that. I was just talking to the engineer. What's the date on that?
7/23/2020.
Okay. So that would mean there were 3 people. If he's still at landfill, that means 3 people with Class 3C license.
So we're covered, yeah, okay.
Her license, to answer your question, her license also, it went in effect, I think it was April. But I'm glad to hear that there are more than Mr. Jones that has a license. What I've advised the mayor, I've advised the mayor to advise department heads, especially the water department, as well as others. I think that all of your departments, whether it's streets, sanitation, whether it's water, whether it's landfill, the city needs to do something to ensure that the people have their licenses and encourage them to have their license. Miss Evergene Ford wants us to do an ordinance that takes that in consideration, so it could be adopted early in January, is my understanding, so that you can look at salary incentives for people getting their licenses, whether it's so you clear up the situation with all the CDL license and the various department, where you clear up the situation with the license that required for water, the license required for landfill. The city has a vested interest in making sure people receive the necessary training, and I think it's incumbent on the council to make sure that there's some policy that encourages people to get the training, and so that in the bottleneck where we're relying on one person carrying the whole department, whether it's water department, whether it's landfill, street and sanitation, whatever, that you have the adequate people with all the necessary licenses to make sure your department operates properly. With that, I yield.
Are we still meeting Thursday, or we'll just meet again next on the 15th?
I would think, Ms. Ford, that if we're waiting on the email from the municipal league, that perhaps we should just say Tuesday and we can take it up then.
Well, I was send an email tonight. We'll probably get a response before Thursday. And
Okay.
if today Tuesday, he asked the question straightforward, so it's probably just a matter of him sending back a response pretty quickly.
I guess then the question is, what does everybody want to do? I'm available on Tuesday and Thursday, so whichever.
I go with Thursday.
I'm available for both days.
I'm available.
I won't be in town on Thursday, but will be here Tuesday.
I met from I-40, so you can be available wherever you are, man.
My sentiments exactly.
I'm gonna call you when we get off of here.
Don, I can tell you ain't sitting next to her. You might have got stabbed with a pen just then. I said I can tell he ain't sitting next to you. He might have got stabbed with a pen just then.
Exactly.
This is part of COVID relief, Zoom.
Is there anything besides the email that you all need from either me or Mr. Turner or the mayor to help you all have a better meeting on Thursday? Or the city clerk or any of us?
What time Thursday?
Same time.
I
Y'all
guess
want-
6 o'clock. I guess 6 o'clock. Cause can't nobody remember 5:30.
Okay,
I just said, I was on mute one. I just said the same thing.
okay, no problem.
Yeah, 6 o'clock fine with me. Other question. Are you all gonna be working on the budget Thursday, or what exactly do you all plan on discussing besides pandemic relief on Thursday?
Well, I guess we can put on there if anybody got any questions about the budget, because I'm gonna have to come pick mine up so I can look at it.
Okay. Is there any particular department head you want on the line Thursday, or do you want them all on the line Thursday? How do you all want to proceed?
Why don't we have, if anybody wants a department head, why don't they send an email to Sandy between now and Thursday morning so that they can get notice out, at least to make sure that person is available, and that'll give everybody a chance to take a look at those budgets.
Yes, sir.
Where, in the words of Joe St. Columbia, I can't hear you, Sandy.
All right, hold on. My name's Joe St. Columbia, and I make a motion, we adjourn. Is there a
Since if they have any
second?
questions.
Second,
I second.
third.
Meeting adjourned.
Bye.
All right.